Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Poison Song live show. I apologize in advance for the dog screaming in the background. Cassie's Wi-Fi is janky, but we're here. We're doing things.
What else would you expect?
I hope you all had a great time with the finale. Let us know in the comments a green heart if you read the book, and a black heart if you're just here for the vibes. Because I'm
Ooh,
curious.
you're going Books and Lala
I
style
want to know.
hosting
I
this.
want to know. We have 5 people here, and I'm like, all right, did everybody read or?
Just here for the vibes. We could go over our ratings too for the
Yeah.
public. Do you want me to start?
Yeah, you start. You're the host.
I am actually a little undecided on my rating at this moment in time because I was reading it. I sat at a 4. I got to the ending. I sat at a 2.
No.
And I think because I did it audio, I actually full on think that brought my whole love of it down a star the entire time. So I think it's a 3, but I have thoughts, and so I think I'm gonna wait to to actually rate it until the end. But I think it's a 3. I think just the audio just did not work for me.
Yeah, I the audio was necessary, but not necessarily enjoyable. If that makes sense.
It's such
Like,
a
I
weird
had
audio
to.
because I didn't think anything was wrong with it. Like the narrator was good, but it
Mhm.
was just like this is taking like I knew because I read the other ones physically and I read some of this book physically that this was taking my enjoyment down and that like the characters I was interested in when physically reading it, when the
Mhm.
audio was on, I was like, I don't care about you at
Exactly.
all. So I was
Exactly.
just like something odd about it.
Yeah. The audio was not because there wasn't anything inherently wrong with his voice. It just was. I don't know. It didn't work.
Mhm.
Becca,
Okay,
you
back to
want to go
go.
next?
Okay, so I am also undecided on my rating because I only finished a half an hour ago. I need to because I think I'm bouncing between a 3 and a 4 because I didn't hate the ending like Cassidy did. Like it was like yeah, that I guess makes sense. Like I had a couple of issues with one or two things that happened, but like overall I was like yeah, and like overall I enjoyed reading the book. There was nothing about this book that I disliked more than the others, but for some reason I enjoyed myself less. But I think that's just I'm like not in a good mood this week. So I think
Fair
that's
too.
the reason. And so I feel like I mean, I know that the first book I definitely enjoyed more than both the second and the
Mhm.
third. But I think I enjoyed this like I'm like I think this is about the same in quality as the second book, but I
Right.
enjoyed the second more, I think. So I don't know. I'll see.
I'm gonna sit at a 3, I think, but I finished it the furthest ago of the 3 of us, like 2 days ago, 3 days ago, something like that. Um, I just found myself very bored through most of it. Like I never wanted to pick it back up. When I was reading it, it was fine. Like I was having a decent time. It wasn't a bad book, but I never really had the urge to pick it back up. There was nothing drawing me back to it. I felt like all of the characters and all of this development that we got just instantly fell really, really flat in this last one. I don't know, it's because they weren't really together as much, but the interactions just the charm was not there that we had in the first book. And that really hurt my enjoyment. But we may have some good discussion because we've got a 5-star here. I think another 5-star here. Skylar hasn't read it, but that's okay. Um, Deb, the audio got better. Yeah, I agree. It got better as you got more used to it, but I still don't think it helped my enjoyment, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yes, I will link everybody after the live in the description box. So refresh when we're done.
Private chat.
Oh, hey, Cassie's got it. I
um,
will still link everybody when we're done, either way. But there's Brooke's channel.
I feel like I need to clarify. I don't know what the ending I think was a personal thing of I read this yesterday and you know what? It was a weird thing because I binge read books all the time in one like sitting. But
Mhm.
by the time I got to the ending, the last like hour, I just wanted it to be over so badly. Like,
Yeah.
it was just like, I was done reading. I didn't want to listen to this anymore, and I had to.
Yeah.
And then, like, I just felt unsatisfied by the ending. Not that it was a
Agreed.
bad ending. Just, like, I think it was overall a good ending, but I think my personal enjoyment feelings were just like, okay, just end. I don't care.
Yeah. I mean, this is also probably true. I did not read Hob before it, though, so I don't have that excuse.
Mm.
Deb, did you give it a 4-star? Like, what was your initial rating without hearing us talk? Yeah. Okay. I think that's about all we're going to really be able to say spoiler free, because this is the 3rd book in the series, and so there's not a lot of like non-spoilery discussion to be had. You guys cool with it into spoiler territory? Okay. Let me put up a...
I forget I had some notes, but not a lot.
Okay. So where do we start here? I feel like the most we have to talk about is the ending, but I also don't feel like we should start at the ending.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Let's
start at the beginning with like
Yeah.
Noon coming in and destroying witchery.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, that's probably a good point.
I felt, honestly, I think that actually started the whole book off where like I just felt very unsatisfied.
Mm-hmm.
It happened so quick for me and like so fast, and it's a problem for me in Noon all the way through the book that she's just so good at everything. At everything she does, she's just like, "Ooh, flame! It's over."
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of wish, like, throughout, it started in the 2nd book, like, I could see where it was going, and so, like, I think that was something I said on the last live show, that I was like, I hope that she doesn't become, like, so super overpowered. Like, I really wanted someone else in the group, or someone that you didn't expect to, like, you know, have this, like, huge role.
Everyone to struggle a little bit. There was not a lot of, like,
yes, there was less struggle in this than in the other books.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. I mean, she did sort of have an issue of struggle when she died, but I still
we all knew she wasn't dead.
No. That's why I died.
I was so annoyed at that. This is actually something I found really annoyed me in this book that I noticed. I think she does in all the books, is she foreshadows. I don't even call it foreshadowing. The chapter before, she'll be like, "Oh, I'll regret not turning around and saying goodbye." And then, oh, Noon's gone the next chapter. Like, you need to give me, like, I want to not be aware of everything that's going to happen every single time. It was like, you're going to be aware of it.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I mean, part of me was like, okay, cool, we're going to get this other side of things. And then the other part of me hated it wasn't even true separation, because they were more separated in the 2nd book. I don't know why, but their interactions in this were so flat to me.
Agreed.
And I don't really know why. There was no charm there. Even Tor was just like a cranky little bitch the whole time. Granted, he had a reason.
And like, I mean, throughout the first 2 books, I have been saying, you know, I love vintage. Even in this book, like, the only characters I cared about was like Aldistair or whatever, and Burn. They were the only 2 I even slightly cared about. And even then, not that much.
Aldistair, I did not care at all. I felt like you're just a whiny bitch.
I mean, aren't they all, though? Isn't every single character in this book kind of?
This is true. This is literally true.
I also...
Except for Burn. I don't find Burn that whiny.
Yeah,
no,
that's true.
No, I like Burn. Cellophane is definitely whiny.
I
don't know. I felt like, too, even though people were dying and there were stakes, I never felt like the stakes were high enough for me to believe that Noon died at the beginning of the book. And so if you don't make me believe that that can be something that happened, it has no impact.
Agreed.
I was like, okay, cool. When's she going to show back up again, and where did she end up? But other than that, there was no like, oh my goodness, what just happened? I need to keep reading to find out if she made it or not. Like, I knew she made it. That was not driving the story.
The entire time with any character, like I knew Tor. I said it to you like when I got to that cliffhanger. I was like, I don't believe that this will be the thing that like this will happen by the end of the book.
Yeah.
I didn't believe that Byrne was going to die.
Exactly.
I actually really wish that Byrne had been done differently, because there's things that I feel like could have been cooler to do. I never believed Noon was going to die. I didn't believe like anything. Like I was like, she's not a author that's going to kill off her precious characters. Like the fact that they killed off what's her face's beast. I was like, of course you kill off the one that doesn't matter, that we don't like, we spend 0 time with.
Yeah. Yeah. And then like you said, Byrne not dying, and the only characters she was willing to kill off were the ones that were purely there to die in the beginning anyway. That was their only point.
Yeah. But like I don't even think Byrne needed to die. I just feel like there needed to be more consequences for like I wanted him to like actually lose his mind a little, you know?
Little.
So
just a little.
For me, I felt like going to, in the last book, going to that island and we find out this like history that they're all just freaking humans was useless. Like it didn't come back at all. So what I thought was going to happen, I thought Byrne, like I knew the tree sap would be magically healed by the end of the book. I thought to heal him at the end, he was going to drink the tree sap and become a vampire. And I was like, that would tie it all together really well.
Yeah.
Because I was like, we do so many useless shit.
There was a lot, though, that never came back around. We discussed some kind of drug in the first book. That never really was important or came back around. The Wintery in general and these creatures that were there that made them vampires never really became that much more important again. Them being terrified of Noon and the witches never became important again. I'm like, why bother if it's not going to matter?
Yes,
it was like that brought the entire series down to me.
Yes, because
there was nothing.
Because the whole thing, like especially with the first book, I mean, that was the thing that we talked about the most, was how brilliant the world building was, like how unique and how much I enjoyed all the descriptions. And like as I think she started to over explain it, and I was like, not every single thing in this fantasy world needs to have like a whole background.
Like, why did it matter? Like, to me, it didn't matter that the witch came and brought these alien people, and now she's all powerful. You could have just made Noon all powerful. Like, I didn't need that. Like, that didn't assist in my reading at all. It actually, like...
Yeah.
Also, this, I agree, Deb. I also kind of wanted Tor to die in battle, and then, like, Noon would come back, and he would have, like, he died because Noon's gone, and he's got nothing to live for. And then, like, Noon comes back, and you're like, shit.
But you also knew that he wasn't going to die at 100%. All. Like, he's got the Crimson Flux, and you know that he's not. And I'm like, I really wanted there to be more impact from that, because that was something that we were dealing with the entire trilogy. That needed to have so much more impact than it did, and it just didn't end up mattering.
Agreed.
It even didn't, like, it. You could see it affect his psyche a little bit, but I feel like him getting burned in book one had more impact on his psyche than the Crimson Flux.
This has been added to my list of books that topped it, series that topped it, book one.
Yes, 100%, 100%.
Which is hilarious. Everyone said the opposite. Sorry, Bex, go.
Yeah. No, the one thing that I really didn't like about the ending was the fact that the tree god was healed. I think the whole tree god should have died. All the war beasts go with it. And like no way to heal Tor, and that would be a devastating ending.
Bex just wants the whole world to die and there be pain.
I will say I like some of the things.
I mean, like the whole point of them is that they're like protecting against the worm people. The worm people is gone. Why is the tree god still here? You know, that's what they've thought their purpose was this whole time. So I'm like,
well, we learned that that's not why the tree god was here in the stupid outing that we did in book 2.
Yeah,
that could have been erased. Honestly, that outing too, I feel like that did nothing for me. It added nothing to the book the entire time. We just learned.
There was so much that could have been taken out of this trilogy as a whole. Probably made it a duology, but honestly, I would have rather her taken that stuff out to the point where it could have been a duology and put things like emotion and actual like battle scenes with consequence that weren't like done, you know, one chapter, and then the entire last battle was so underwhelming I was like, what is the point? We have spent 3 books leading up to this, and in 1 chapter, boom, we saved the world. Nice.
I was like perfectly happy if it had ended when the eggs died. Like I was like, okay, cool, this can end now.
Yeah.
And then I was like, fuck, I still have like 2 hours left of this book.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked the egg
Yeah,
thing.
that stupid like fake out thing. Like I was looking at like the little progress bar. I was like, I know you're not done. I know they're still around.
I liked the egg thing though. I felt like that
Yeah.
actually was a reason
too.
why they were still there and they kept coming back. So
Yeah.
that did tie
Yes.
back in.
Yes.
But that was it. That was the only thing that tied back in.
But like once they were
Yeah.
destroyed, I was like, we should have just destroyed the queen here and now and had one big huge battle instead of like recuperating and then we're gonna have another small little battle. Like I could have. I was done with the book by then, to be honest. I was like, okay, let's just end this. Like the last, I think, because the last 100 pages or so it was, I knew exactly what was going to happen. I knew no one was going to die. I knew the god was coming back. I knew they were winning. The only thing I was annoyed at is I wanted Hostilian. Not the only thing. I also wanted Hostilian to be the one like kind of save them. Like I wanted her to like change again and realize like she fucked up the way that her beast does.
Yeah, I did like that it was like the beast though that changed, because throughout like the second book we see like she believes that like she is basically the center of his world, and then she like gives him this community by letting like the queen put like the crystal in him, and like in the start of this book she is so sure that she is enough for him, and then it's just like, no, you're not.
Yeah, she didn't care about him at all.
Yeah, agreed, Deb. Like they were so surprised that she was still there, and it's like, why are you surprised by this? I don't know. I don't know who I would recommend this book to, because you hear I'm a character-driven reader, I'm a plot-driven reader, I'm a world-driven reader. But in this, the world was so good to begin with, but then there were so many unnecessary things that I don't feel like you can recommend it to a world-driven. The plot jumped all over the freaking place, so that would be hard for me too. And then the relationships that we built in book 1 that really should have had this massive amount of impact really just didn't. Like I wanted a lot more from the Beast and Hostilian's relationship. I felt like we got a little bit of that where he said, remember when you healed me, you promised me that we were going to do all of these things, and then we never actually did them. That conversation could have been so important, and I felt like she just kind of did that one great quote and then glossed over it. I was like, just give me a little bit more emotion.
I think for me, I would recommend it to people looking for something different, for something that's like a little like more, I don't know what to say, but like just like different than what you usually read in fantasy, because like it is very sci-fi, and I think it pretty much is a sci-fi tropes, but I think it's different enough because like a fantasy reader would blend it that way. But I don't think it's gonna be anyone's like favorite 5-star series.
There's been a lot of favorite 5 stars though. I feel like every time the heroes were talking to the disagreeable characters. Yeah, this did happen a lot.
Vintage started saying more like again a lot.
She never stopped. I just think you stopped paying attention to that in the second book.
She kept saying it.
Like
yeah, you just like zoned out of it.
Like enough that it didn't totally bother me, but in this one, it's like every freaking 5 sentences.
Though I will say one thing that like got me with this book was the fact that like they kept trying to like nearly like shove leadership onto other characters. Like there was at one point like Tor says to Al, whatever his face is, oh cousin, you've turned into a right good leader, and I'm like, where? And then same with like trying to like push it onto Noon. You freed them. They're all looking up to you. And then literally just every single one of them, when they have a problem, just run to Vintage. I'm like, we all know who you all turn to.
Literally.
Like, she's not a leader.
No, she's just smart.
But I think I didn't mind that because I felt like Noon knew that. Like she was like, I just freed them. Like I'm not here to lead them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although she did take the leadership role when it came to like fighting, but I think that's because she had the most power and she had the dragon that like had the most experience. I wanted to say that I loved the difference in the 2 beasts that we got that were outside of our gang, and I liked how much that they like mirrored their bonded person, because like we have Hestillion's dragon who just wants to like belong, and you see Hestillion kind of struggle with that the entire series, how she just wants her brother, right? Like that's like by the end of it, she just wanted her brother to never leave her, and she wanted family, and she wanted to feel like she was special and important. And then
She
the other
wanted a bond.
So then we have that dragon who constantly also wants to bond with our beasts. But then we have the other beast, the bat, who wants nothing to do with them. And I think it's because her bonded person also was like, no, I'm free. I'm by myself. And I thought that was really cool, how the beasts were done all the time and how they always mirrored who their person was.
So that, to me, though, it's just like, you had the potential, like you could do it. You could do those relationships. You could do those parallels. You could do that subtlety so well. And then for the rest of the book, just didn't do it. And I'm like, you can. I need you to do it.
I literally will stand by the fact that I think that listening to the audio brought it down a whole star. And I think that you got more of those connections and moments when you read it physically, and that the audiobook narrator wasn't as good at it.
Maybe. I read along with the audio a little bit in book 1, and I read a little bit of it physically in book 2, but I did not have time for this one to read any of it physically.
Same. So and then I also liked the conversations on like what family is and how family isn't always blood, and like those kind of, honestly, I'll probably give it a 3-star, maybe a 3.5. Because I do think that there was a lot of interesting discussions. I don't think that there was necessarily like the best plot or the best characters.
I don't think
interesting things that went into this and thought process.
I wanted her to give me more of those interesting discussions. I almost felt like she brought them up to the point where you would go, oh, hey, I need to think about that, and then immediately went on to something else. And I'm like, I need them to be prominent enough to have enough of an impact and us to have these discussions, rather than the queen just going, oh, well, I guess all of these strong memories aren't just blood. And then that was the end of the discussion.
I feel like we got that a lot of times, though. We were talking about like Noon wanting to go back to like the place she felt like the best and most belonged, which was her new family.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I feel like we just kept, like, they were subtle, but there was a lot of them the entire time, and like still struggling. Sorry.
And especially since that's like, I mean, that's the whole like Worm Queen, whatever. Her whole thing is like she does not understand. It's not in their nature to understand these different kinds of bonds and how they are connected. And in the end, that is actually what ends up like making Hestillion leave. Is because in the end, like that was another like parallel that I really liked, was because she was like, Hess was like, why do you want to understand this so badly? Like, she just was so annoyed by the fact that she wanted to understand it. And in the end, it was like, Hess was like, oh, yeah, I'm kind of leaving you because of blood, you know?
Yeah. No, y'all are right.
And
do we want to talk about the ending?
Sure, let's do it. I don't really have much to say. I was just like, as I said, I just wanted it to end. Like, I was just done reading this book by that time.
Was there anything that
you didn't like? I just did it through audio, and I did it in a day, and it suffered for that. Like, that was my own fault.
But at the same time, like, it should make you want to pick it up and want to like power through it if it's going to be a 4-star read. Sometimes. And even when you were losing it physically, you were like, don't really want to pick it back up.
Well, I only read 2 chapters physically.
I read the whole thing physically.
Like 20% in physically.
I like kind of like every once in a while I would skip and read a chapter physically when like I had the moment to do it. But even then, like I find some books I can binge through, and like some books like you do need to take your time with. And I think that this was one of those books that like me sitting and reading it down for, and I had so many other things I wanted to do yesterday that it was like really like that was also the worst part, is I didn't want to read. I wasn't in the mood to read. Yeah. So I was like, I have to read 2 hours still. I have to read an hour still. I have to read 30 minutes still.
Yeah, it's more of a I have to instead of I want to situation.
Even though I like said to Nick, I was like, I was enjoying it. Like I told him, I was like, it's a good book, but I just don't want to read anymore.
Yeah. As far as the ending goes, was not surprised by the final like big death because again, that whole foreshadowing to the point of heavy-handedness, she had already said, I'm not gonna die. I'm not gonna die. Like, you don't have to worry about it. Worry about yourself because I'm not gonna die. Like over and over and over again. I was like, dude, gonna die. There's just no way around it at this point.
I wouldn't have noticed that as much, I think, if she didn't do it so much every other part of the book. Like if it had just been a one-time thing, I think it would have been great, but she's just heavy-handed everywhere.
Yep, agreed. So I was not surprised by that, but again, I don't know what it was, but it had no impact on me, whatever. Like I just did not care. I didn't feel the grief. I did not care.
No, me either.
I did feel like in the very last chapter where like Tor's like crying because of the burns that she gave him is gone. I was like, okay, that's a little sad, but that was like the most I felt about it. Because like, oh. But
I wanted Tor not to take stab.
Yeah.
I wanted his grief to like outlast that he died. I'm a terrible person.
Yeah, but also I think Visage would have like, literally forced it down his throat.
I got why he did, right? But honestly, I also thought like maybe she just would die. Like I don't know. I was like, well, you may as well have not killed her because it didn't impact me at all. Like I felt more grief when the boy that was in 4 chapters died.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed.
Or I wanted Hostilian to die, like freeing them, or like I don't know, like I wanted her to have a bigger impact in the ending of the book because I felt like she was the coolest character for me the entire time, and like she impacted the story the most. I personally think because she was like the driving factor behind so much,
right?
And then she was just like, "Run away, brother," and then she came back at the end.
Yeah. I think I told David, I was like, well, that should have mattered and that should have hurt my feelings, but it didn't hurt my feelings. And it was like you said, she was that type of author that you wouldn't expect to kill off any of her major characters, that she was very attached to them. But when she did kill off that major character, it just didn't matter. And there are other books where and there's one in particular I can think of, but I don't want to say it because if I did, I would spoil it. But that's the only way it can end is by this major character dying. And if the author hadn't gone there, it would have been like horrible.
I think we all know what you're talking about.
Yeah. But you just didn't get that feeling here that it was a just necessary thing that had to happen. It was the progression of the story.
Well, she survived it once. Why didn't she survive it again too? Like
exactly.
I was so annoyed. I was like, I thought they're immune to their own flame. Like we put that a million times. Like she should have survived it, in my opinion.
And that's what she said. I'm not going to die because this. Then I was like, the logic. Why now?
I literally just felt like she did it because she knew she had to kill someone off, and that was the easiest way to do it without like. Oh, she went out like a hero. So like it didn't hurt you. Like she got like the good like life that she wanted, but she didn't. I wanted her to be free and run and go back to the plains.
You know what I wish? I wish she had burned the tree up in the process too, and then Tor could not have gotten cured, and then he died.
Agreed.
I think that would have made so much more impact that she accidentally killed him, saving the world, essentially.
Or like if the tree just didn't come back to life, like why did we have to have this like magical, all-powerful witch ghost heal the tree? Like because you made an impact on her. How? What? Where? You literally tried to kill her a couple chapters back.
Convenient.
Yeah. I just that whole thing didn't make sense to me. I was like, you're just making like that was
hello.
That was one of the other things that like I just didn't like, because I was like, when I got to that part and I was like, I forgot this was even a thing that like got brought up, like the flame in the last book. I was like, I completely forgot about it, and I was like, this is just making it so much more complicated.
Yeah, because I did actually like the fact that she was special, and that's how she ended up at the Winery. I liked that backstory that she could pull life force from everything that was connected. I did think that that was interesting, and I liked getting that backstory and more information on her memories and how and why she kind of was where she was and who she was. But I needed it a little bit earlier, I think, too.
It just felt like a plot device in this one to me because like we should have gotten some of that in book 2, I think. Instead, I mean, like I guess we kind of did, but I just feel like that island was fucking pointless, and
It was interesting, and had it had a point, I would have really liked it, but it was completely pointless.
I 100% thought the third book was going to go way more sci-fi, I pick up, sorry, than it did based on the second book, and then I feel like we kind of pulled that back, which like, I don't know, because like I said, I think that I wouldn't have liked it as much if it went too sci-fi, but at the same time, I was like, well, we went there already. Why didn't we continue?
Yeah. For me, I think this book, like, the writing was really good. The characters on their own and throughout the rest of the story I liked, but like if we're talking call pile, logic for me was very low in this one. There were so many things that were done for no reason, so many things that I was like, wait, what? Why? That I don't follow where you're going here, or why this happened. So I think logic for me is just really low in this last one. And when you're talking about a finale book, everything should start wrapping up, and things that you didn't think were important should have a point, not things that you thought were important not having one at all.
Yeah.
It should have gone the other way.
Also, Kate, you know how they go to the freaking army and they go to the castle next to them and they ask for the army to come? Did I miss that being important later? Because I was like, why did we go there?
I don't even think I remember the scene, if that helps.
They came? Because I was like, yeah, they go there, they ask for help, and then Hastilian tells the queen that they need to go destroy this place before they go to Abora, and I'm just like,
oh yeah.
Do they come? Like, I don't remember if they came. I was not paying a lot of attention by this because I just wanted the book to, I was like, just end.
Yeah, same. That was definitely at a, are we going to finish at this point?
Yeah. Which is sad because I did like it. I actually liked a lot of the things. I think I liked the characters a lot more than Mel did. I enjoyed being with Tor. I found Tor very interesting.
I like Tor. Yeah, Tor was interesting.
Noon had like very interesting parts to where I thought Vintage was cool. Okay. Like, I liked the addition of Burn in when he had like the crystal in him, and I thought those were cool aspects. Like, I do think it's very character driven, and I really enjoyed the characters in it. But I think for me, the plot just felt. I think it's the plot that's holding me back more than anything, and like the like missing pieces, or like the pieces that just like didn't connect anywhere. Like, I really think it's, for me, it's like the plot and the world.
The logic is what.
Yeah, it's the logic. Is a better way to say it. I think I'll still recommend it to people though. Like, I loved the first book. And I think it's something cool and interesting and unique, and I'm happy I read it, and I think I would be interested in picking up the Copper Cat trilogy.
Absolutely. Unlike Tai Chong, where we ended and I was like, do I want to read the other series? I'm not really sure. This one, as a general whole, like, I would give it probably a 3.5 as a trilogy. And therefore, for me, that's not a bad rating. I didn't regret reading it. I am very interested to continue. It just is not going to go in my top series kind of situation.
100% agree.
So,
which is really sad because it could be a top book for me of the year, like the first one, and then the series just goes. So how about you, Bex?
I would be interested.
Overall series thoughts?
I feel like overall, I'd probably give the series 4.
Okay.
But, like, barely scraping into the 4. Just because I did give the first two, like, the first one was a high 4. And the second one was, like, a middle of the road 4. And then this one is, like, a high 3, I would say. So, like, I'll leave it squeeze into the 4, even though all 3 of them didn't get the 4, you know?
No, I feel that. Yeah.
I'm happy I do think it. I think it's nice to read something different every so often. Like, something...
Now you have to read Blood of the Chosen. Well, Ashes of the Sun and Blood of the Chosen.
You do need to. Uh-oh. The Bex face.
What was I going to say?
You should try it, Kaylee. At least the first book or two,
Mhm.
and see what you think. Because I mean, it's good. It was worth reading.
Also, my favorite animal companions I've read.
Yeah, they do have some
My
really
favorite. I
good.
think they were done really well. I really enjoyed all the animals. They had like the right amount of matter in like importance into the plot, but also like to not take too much out of it. And I found they were fun. They all had like interesting personalities. Like my favorite animal companions I've read.
Yep, agreed. They were great. I enjoyed them a lot.
And Karun forever. I love Karun.
Haroon is great. Haroon is great. The moment where they were like, I don't care if you leave. If you leave, you're gonna hurt the people more than if you died with them. But no matter where you go, I'm gonna go with you. I was like, that was one moment where I went, and then honestly, that character was the only one that I in book two. I was like, I wouldn't care if any of these characters died. And then the crab things almost get him, and I was like, don't die, don't die, don't die.
I think I felt that way about Tor and Karun. Like I wanted Tor to die, but I was like, it'll hurt me. I really, really liked Tor.
Yeah.
I liked Vintage, but she wouldn't have hurt me to die. Like I was like, oh, she's old. Oh, Nan Thema was so pointless.
Yes. 150% pointless. Yeah.
She just died and Vintage
Mel
like,
was right from the beginning.
had it coming.
Mel called it in book one. She was like, this is pointless. And then she was just like,
What is the point?
why even bring her back in this book? Like, I didn't care. Just let her go.
Wrap up the loose end that you created unintentionally and unnecessarily.
Yeah.
I just felt like a lot of this book was, oh, I had a plot hole, let me fix it. But she forgot about a lot of the plot holes and didn't fix them all. But we spent the whole book like trying to fix things that she had created in 2 books prior. And I'm like, why?
You don't need an answer for
man,
absolutely every single thing.
Fix. She could have just like been the one to let them out or like to tell them about the poison. Like it could have been way better done so easily.
Yep.
Sorry, I think
I was
talking
the story. I agree with Deb. Is don't read it after super emotional fantasy, and maybe don't binge read the last of the trilogy.
Mm-hmm. Take your time.
Yeah, take your time. Let the emotion come to you.
But yeah,
I do think just because I have read the first book in our next trilogy, I think that the success rate is going to do this because Bone Ships was like way down here, and then this was like, okay, this was a success. I think that it will continue to go up, but I haven't read books 2 and 3, so that's just my predictions in our trilogy success rate.
I did buy the first book with the next series, so
I don't recommend doing it in a day, though. Maybe give yourself 3 days just to be safe.
are you talking about?
Yes. I was telling Bex not to 24-hour binge this next one because I don't think it'll go well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. I hope we have a tendency though. Both Bone Chips and this series, the first was peak.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first peaked.
Yeah. We're gonna break the trend. We're gonna break the mold.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be good. I think we'll have a lot to talk about in that one.
Yes.
And
I mean, have you seen the size of it?
You know how the Catch Up Book Club live shows tend to be a lot of like theorizing? The next trilogy, or at least based on the first book, is going to be very like lend itself to that. Mm-hmm. Lots of what if and what could this be and how is this going to tie in? Who is this person in past lives? That kind of situation. So I think it'll be a really good discussion.
I would just like to say, can you please next time choose a series where I can get the audiobook? Because once again, my library R script does not have the next.
Oh no, really? That's an older
once
series.
Again, have to physically read it.
Wait, Bex, can you go into your library and like request that they buy it and see if they'll buy the trilogy?
I probably could, but I'll just physically read it. It's fine.
I can give you access to an Audible account.
I've done it for all of the books so far. All 5 of them. I buy balls.
Yeah.
In a day.
Because I did not
read
the Bone Chips book. I cannot read the last
Eyes
one.
not like bleed from reading.
No.
That's what I want to know. Like, for you not cross-eyed, like, can you see us right now?
Literally.
Yeah. I'm not gonna
Okay,
do it next time, okay? I'm gonna be good. I'll behave myself.
We're holding you to it.
I'm excited to come back with that trilogy and love it.
Me too.
I think it's gonna be a favorite. It's
Hopefully.
the only one I've been the most like, okay, this is going to be good. Like the bone chips in this one, they were so like underrated that
Yeah.
it was like, I don't know, but I feel like the Shadow What Was Lost, I'm gonna be like, okay, this is gonna be at least a 3-star the entire time, at least.
I would think so. I give the first one a 4. And I'm interested to see. I actually think it has the potential for me to raise my rating on reread because it was a low 4. But I think once I reread it, I will actually take my rating up, not down.
It's exciting. I'm excited. Okay, should we end this?
We should. Any final thoughts?
No.
I got nothing.
Chat,
Just that I hope people read it. Like I'm going to be still talking about it a lot because I do hope people read the series.
I can't answer this.
Let me look at a calendar. November, for sure. I want to say the first weekend of November, but I don't remember when I'm supposed to be in Mexico, if I'm still going to Mexico. But I think the first weekend, like the 5th or the 6th.
I will not be available on the 6th, just so you know.
Okay, we can do the 5th. Okay. If not, we'll make it later.
Or if I am, it'll be from a hotel room at the beach. So,
amazing.
We'll figure it out. It'll be great.
Are you available on the 5th?
I think we're leaving Saturday afternoon or Sunday morning. I'll have to double check with you.
It might end up happening later in November, which really fucks up timeline for everyone reading books, but
we'll be all right. We'll make it. Wouldn't be the first time.
Nope, it would not be the first time.
Yeah. Sometime the first couple weeks of November. That's as good as we got. Alrighty, well, I think we're gonna end this here. And thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys for reading this trilogy with us, and we'll see you for Lycanus in November. Bye.